Okay, this is our last week with our 2023 Toyota Highlander with the 2.4 liter turbo. It's been a great vehicle. We have enjoyed it, but we recently got stuck into EVs. And with that, the fantastic EV feature of having a frunk, which this obviously doesn't have. I have really nothing but good things to say about this. So this is the all-wheel drive Highlander, which is actually a really good all-wheel drive system. A lot of people say that these all-wheel drive systems aren't very capable and all of that. I took this Highlander off-roading literally on the border in Southern California. There's a bunch of trails that Border Patrol uses to get around, literally like at the border wall, and you can go through most of those same trails, not all of them, but quite a few of them. There's another YouTube video of that. It worked well. It was surprisingly good. I was careful because of ground clearance. I didn't want to ding it up too much or pop a tire or anything. But you can see in the other video, it worked pretty well. I had 2 tires off the ground at the same time for a bit, and it worked great. The only time that the all-wheel drive has let me down is in Idlewild in the wintertime. There was an extremely steep driveway, and there was a thick layer of ice underneath the snow. We were going from an off-camber downhill road to a 90-degree, very narrow driveway straight uphill, really, really steep. And I did try to get up there. I couldn't get a run up because it was so narrow. And I'm not sure what was in the snow past the driveway, but the driveway was old, so it was only narrow and wide enough for one vehicle to go up. And at the bottom, you really couldn't have even opened the doors, parked in the driveway and opened the doors. On the one side, there was kind of a wall really close, and on the other side it was really steep, kind of drop off. It got wider at the top, but that made it impossible to get a run up the driveway. So it was slow speed, kind of 90-degree left, and off camber, and I couldn't get up it. I did put it in snow mode, which, thinking back on, I don't think was the right call, actually. Snow mode's great to get you moving in the snow, but it starts you out in second gear, and I wasn't going fast enough yet, because I couldn't get the run up. So in snow mode, it overheated and took me out of all-wheel drive because I was trying to get up that hill, and I kind of had heavy throttle getting up there. It overheated, shut down, so I had to slap on the tire chains to get up there, which I did. I made it up again just fine, and then once some of the snow had melted and the ice had melted underneath, I was able to get up and down the rest of the weekend that we were there without any issues, even though it was still slippery, snowy, icy, just not to the same degree. And I wasn't in snow mode. So other than that, I will say having physical controls for the rear climate has been awesome. I'll probably miss that in my next vehicle. I know it doesn't have physical buttons for any of it. The sand mode's awesome. I drove it on the beach too, and that's great. Hold is a function I hadn't really used before this, and it's great. EVs do it automatically, but having it in an internal combustion vehicle is great. I really like that. Adaptive cruise control's pretty good. It is really just that, though. The lane keeping's acceptable, but nothing too crazy. And then fuel economy is amazing. This thing gets killer gas mileage. I'm averaging 17.3 right now. I'm sitting here idling, and that's from mostly school runs. And I was idling it for quite a while I was taking some videos of it yesterday. So it dropped down from 17.9 to 17.3 average. But if I go on a road trip, or if I hit the freeway, if I go on the freeway at all, that trip will be 30 miles per gallon. 30 miles per gallon. It's crazy. So that's, that gives you incredible range for your trips, your road trips. When I did drive from San Diego up to Idlewild and back, we did some driving around up there, and I had no problems. I didn't even use half a tank getting there and back and driving there. So, I mean, that tells you the kind of range you're getting. It is, I think, an 18-gallon tank, so I must have used around 8 gallons for the entire trip. So that makes it pretty efficient. I do think that this is one of the better 3-row crossovers at the moment, kind of as far as gas, options go. There aren't really many EV options, and they're very expensive for 3 rows. But I will say this has just been, it's been really a great family vehicle. I do think this is a bit of an issue. When I'm sitting up straight, I kind of look right at it, so it just blocks a ton of my view when I'm driving, especially if I'm going uphill. I can't really see over there. That's a frustration. The AC is slow to work. I don't think the ceiling is very well insulated, if at all. Our older Ford Explorer had much more powerful air conditioning. It would freeze you out, and it didn't seem to. This one, when I turn it on, the heat really blasts out of the roof if it's been sitting in the sun, and it takes a while for it to cool down again. The Explorer didn't do that. I would still have picked this again over the Explorer, even the newer model Explorer. I think the engine's better, unless you're gonna go get an ST or something crazy like that. If you were comparing base model engines like the V6s or the Turbo 4, I think this is the best Turbo 4 on the market right now. It looked like 310 pound-feet of torque at really low RPM. I forget what it is. I want to say it's 1600 RPM. It just makes it way earlier, so you get full torque from really low RPMs, which I think is why it gets such great gas mileage. So it really holds those gears a lot better. It doesn't shift going up and down hills and all of that. I like in here, the cup holders aren't very good. They're too small. I do love the nooks and crannies in here. This one especially is really useful. My wife actually uses that for stuff all the time. Whenever we're going, out to the beach or for a longer road trip. This is great. This is great. I love having so many outlets up here. Even, it's just options. A really old school one, 2 USB-C, and a regular USB. There's another outlet in here. And I will say the shelf is okay. I used it for lens wipes for my phone or for my glasses. But this is cavernous. It is huge. I don't have little arms, and that's like almost up to the elbow. We also really love the fact that I can't get the shelf on. I don't normally struggle with that, I swear. There we go. It's functional that it slides and everything, but I really only used it for my lens wipes for my glasses. But the sliding is awesome. So I literally drive with my elbow on here all the time. I always do in every vehicle I have. So the Explorer opened, like the whole thing, you pressed a button here and it pulled up. I think most center consoles are like that. The sliding's awesome because I would always have to take my elbow off and kind of scooch over while I'm driving. Whereas, if my wife wanted to get something out of here, which, because these are small, my wife always puts her oversized water bottle in here, and that means she can get it and I don't have to move my arm off of here. Like, I'm still keeping my elbow on here. That's really great. I think it looks good inside. I think it's a cool layout. This is the small screen, so there's a bigger screen, and it's cloth seats because that's what I prefer, is cloth seats. Unfortunately, my next vehicle, you have to get leather. Okay, so like I was saying, I got this model for the cloth seats because it's what I prefer. So I'll kind of miss that. But a lot of manufacturers are starting to do that now, where you have to have the cloth seats, or you have to have leather seats if you want a higher trim. The steering wheel, I think this is actual leather, like real leather, not knockoff stuff. It feels really good. The vehicle that we're purchasing to replace this is much, much more expensive, and it doesn't have a steering wheel that feels as good as this one. Not even close. And this is about half the price. The only issue we had with this thing was that there was something going on with the front suspension, that I was pulling into a kind of short, steep, sharp turn, 90-degree corner into a post office locally. And it made a clunking sound, and then kind of a dragging, grinding sound. Everything, I couldn't visually see anything. I took the trays off underneath. I couldn't visually see anything wrong. So I felt safe enough to drive it. It didn't feel odd. It was just making weird noises. I could kind of feel a thunk, emitting throughout the chassis, but that was it. So I drove it in. They took a look at it. They said they tightened everything up, and they couldn't get it to do it again. I did get it to do it with the test drive with a mechanic. It kind of happened every big pothole I went over till we got to the dealership. So it was easy to show them. They said they tightened everything up and checked everything and couldn't find anything. However, I find that hard to believe because it hasn't been doing it again since. So I think they found something and tightened everything up. The kids are totally happy and comfortable in here. Generally, they like the rear air. I will say, these kind of flappy vents, let me see. There's one over here too. These flappy vents suck. So if you turn the AC up on high because it's hot, car's been parked in a parking lot in the sun or something, the kids open these up, I crank the AC, and if the vents are fully open here in the middle row, there is effectively nothing coming out of the back, even if they're open full. And if you've got the air on high, these either stay perfectly open or will close by themselves. They will not stay like half open like that. The air will just force them open, or if you close it, it will stay closed, but you can't adjust it other than kind of having it full open or closed. So that's a bit of a frustration. Again, I guess it's all related to AC. 3 across is possible in here with seats, but not with 3 car seats. So I can have like 2 boosters, but not 2 boosters and a car seat. So it's generally been fine, but we're about to have another one, so it's not going to work. I want the ability to have 3 in the middle. The back seat is just so cramped. It's fine for kids, and it's been fine for my kids, but I have an older kiddo as well, a teenager, and she is not comfortable back here. She can do it. Short drives, it's fine, but she can't do it long term. I do love, they've got plenty of storage and cup holders and things. There's no chargers back here, but in general, it's a good place to be if you're not oversized. Like if you're an adult, you're going to be miserable. Having this middle seat has been really helpful. I like the ability to have 8 passengers sometimes. These are, I like the way they tumble and fold. The kids can do that, but they do struggle to put them back by themselves. So my younger kids can pull that and then shove the seat out of the way and get back there, which generally they only need to do if someone big enough to push the seat back is with them anyway, because that person's then going to be sitting up here. So it really hasn't been a problem. So yeah, my younger kids have kind of struggled with that, but in general it's okay because somebody bigger is going to be then sitting in front of them. So that hasn't really been an issue. I'd love if they could do it more easily. Oh, I will say though, sometimes the kids won't latch this. They'll leave it. They'll get out of the car. Like I drop them off at school or something. They'll get out of the car and leave the seat like that. And then I don't realize because I'm not paying attention or whatever. And then as soon as I go to pull away and accelerate, this thing slams back and then flips. And I just think that's a bit dangerous. I wish there was some kind of system where, it would stay forwards if it knew I was in gear or something, like lock it so it didn't fly around so much. But that's kind of a nitpick and a weird complaint. I do love... I just feel like this is high quality. That's a metal bolted in insert to the wheel. It's not like a rubber flexible valve. Again, not that that's really an issue for anyone. I just think that's cool. I appreciate that. In general, I felt like the car is high quality. I never fully got used to the button to open the gas flap. It was 50-50 whether I was going to remember that. And this just feels cheap and old to me. Fords all have like an automatic fill, so you don't, or automatic cap, so you don't have to take something off. It just feels old and clunky. Kind of lets the rest of the car down. Again, though, that's nitpicking. It's been really a pretty good car. Great gas mileage, generally spacious, comfortable. The suspension's well set up for a nice ride. Yeah, it's been a great car. So in finishing up, I would say I preferred this over the Explorer we had before because the suspension is better. More to my preference, I would say. If you like sporty driving when you're in a 3-row SUV with all your kids in the car, the Explorer is better. I found it too rough, too harsh for bumpy roads and just daily driving. It just was too much. So this was really great. The all-wheel drive's great. Yeah, I mean, it did everything we needed it to for the last few years, and we've been happy with it. If it wasn't for EVs and how good some of them are, I'd be keeping this. But the storage, the extra storage in the next vehicle that we're getting is really in a whole different class. So I'll do a video about that car too, but yeah, this has been great. The only, I did consider getting something different, or instead of buying this, I looked at Sienna minivans as well because I get great gas mileage too. They're all hybrids, but they were tough to get at the time. You really couldn't get them, and dealers were doing tons of markups. I looked at driving to Arizona, LA, but at the end of the day, the dealership had this car already. It was the only one they had at the time. It was like one of the first 23s with the turbo that they had. So it fit all the right bills. It was all-wheel drive. It was comfortable. It, had 8 seats. And yeah, it's been great to us. I think if I was going to stay with a gas vehicle, I would just get a minivan. if you want more space without going up to the crazy prices of full-size SUVs, which are undeniably nice, but the gas mileage is going to be less than half of what you get in a minivan or something like this. And the storage is okay if you get the full size, like a Suburban, or you know, like Expedition Max or something like that. But if you get a Sequoia or a Tahoe or a regular Expedition, the storage really isn't that good. It's a lot better in the vehicle that we're getting to replace it. So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be another video soon.